Alright, I'll admit it. Anthony Albanese. His election win really did ruin my business model. When I was low on content, all I had to do was just get on my knees, pray to Scott Morrison's God, Hillsong Jesus, who I imagine is kind of like real Jesus, but he wears a lot more bomber jackets and slim fit chinos. I'd pray, please Lord, give Scott Morrison the confidence and power to do something insane. And God answered my prayers every time. Yes, this will make me seem relatable. I'll claim that the evil one is harnessing social media to make people hate me. There was so much good shit I didn't even cover that. That's real. But now I've got nothing! You know how successful TV shows always have two characters with that will they, won't they dynamic? And as soon as those characters hook up, the show's tank. I'm pretty scared that Labour and being in government are the characters and I'm the show. What do I do now? Anthony Albanese heads to Europe for NATO and Emmanuel Macron meetings as Penny Wong travels to Vietnam and Malaysia. Come on, Macron, call Albo a liar or something. I'm dying here. Anyway, I know it's strange to think that me, of all people, was pretty f***ed by this election result, but I was! Until I remembered that David Elliott exists. In case you didn't know who that is, he's the New South Wales Transport Minister and ex-police minister. I've really been sleeping on his antics. He probably is the funniest remaining politician in the country. Roster's getting pretty thin, I will admit, but I've really not done that much on him. So I thought, why don't I take this lull in federal stories to introduce an often overlooked character in the Friendly Geordies canon, and trust me, David Elliott is that good. This video alone will be another reason to be stoked about Albo's victory. I mean, any state politician who has a dedicated controversy section on their Wikipedia, he's got to be a winner. Let's just read a line. In December 2019, he attracted attention for an offensive post on Facebook in which he told a mate that he'd, quote, rip your head off and shit in the hole. Look, to be clear, this video won't really contain any new info or anything. It's more or less just kind of laughing at David Elliott's greatest hits. And god damn, it's fitting that he was Minister for Police because he's got more hits than Sting. If you're familiar with David Elliott, it's probably because you listen to 2GB. He's on it like every second day, just whinging and moaning. I legit think that's all he does. Listen to these taglines from his appearances. These are real. The issue that has left new Transport Minister David Elliott, quote, cranky. I'm not going to be treated like a mug. Transport Minister explains local manufacturing push. Not doing yourself any favours. David Elliott dismisses ham ban. Transport Minister says politicians' tendencies are ego-based after South Australia defeat. Using a gravesite as a urinal. Minister for Veterans slams Hyde Park vandal. Well, that one is an outrage. Transport Minister says cruise ships returning is a, quote, psychological win for Aussies. Okay, maybe that one's not a win, it's just really fucking hilarious. Oh, yeah, cruise ships! Took me missus on one. Let's just say if this boat's a rockin', don't come a knockin'. Then, this is my favourite bit, half of the rest of David Elliott getting fed up with climate protesters causing chaos in peak hour traffic. Transport Minister slams knuckleheads disrupting peak hour Sydney traffic. Transport Minister wants the judicial system to reflect on community anger amid protests. Ministers tear shreds off climate activists blocking routes to Port Botany. And then the other half is just him defending himself, as within the first weeks of being Transport Minister, he almost single-handedly caused a rail shutdown or strike, for those of you who speak arsehole, which actually caused chaos in peak hour, and knowing David, certainly more are set to come. Certainly not. Transport Minister confirms no knowledge of service cancellation. It's unfair. Transport Minister says he can't do anything to stop bus strikes. That's bullshit. That's union spin. Transport Minister slams Sydney rail shutdown. I don't know why Blockade Australia are protesting the New South Wales government so much. Dom Perrottet has done more than their group will ever achieve by making someone as useless as David Elliott Transport Minister. He's all but guaranteed peak hour traffic chaos indefinitely. Except David's probably not protesting climate change. It's the ham band that's caught his eye. But do you remember that? That was pretty incredible. 2021, one of the most scandal-ridden years for New South Wales Police in recent memory. And then in 2022, David Elliott gets kicked out, handed the Transport Ministry, and bam, immediately there's a rail shutdown. What is that man's excuse?
I didn't know, I was asleep.
Turns out that was half true. Texts show that Elliott's chief of staff was saying that Elliott was briefed at least before 11 p.m. the night before the shutdown. But then I guess Elliott went Betty bye-byes anyway. That alone should make him the last person in New South Wales that gets to whinge about traffic being brought to an unnecessary standstill. But you know, he also stalked a kid in his car, pulled up at a traffic light, stopped and then pretended to be a cop, probably trying to scare the kid.
Blockade Castle Hill, but only if I suspect a kid's been driving badly.
Impersonating a cop is a pretty serious crime, and I know I've covered this before, but you know what the New South Wales Police did in response? They cleared him of all charges on the 13th of November 2019, after they received their legal advice, of course, and well before they received their legal advice on the 22nd of November 2019. It is just astounding. The only non-crooked explanation for that sequence of events is that the police just found it too funny to lose him as a minister, which I fully understand. That man has the Midas touch. Every ministry he touches turns to comedy gold. Could be because he spends more time on his LinkedIn writing blog posts than he actually does doing his job. Every week. I'm not even joking. He makes these astonishing posts. Look at this LinkedIn account of his.
Okay, so this morning I spent time campaigning with my friend Maria Kovovich, and we had a coffee with locals and stuck in a bit of lunch at the week. Candidate from a non-English speaking background. Where's the Labor bloke? Last thing he announced was an upgrade to a local party through the campaign, and he's not hitting the heart. That'll do me. Hashtag wannabe Westie.
Starting the post with,
okay, so...
Someone's been watching too much Emma Chamberlain.
Okay, so this morning I tried this cold brew place in Rouse Hill. Pretty good, but the milk congealed and it tasted a bit like someone's head was ripped off and I shat in the hole.
All throughout lockdown, all throughout crises, Elliott's out there networking on LinkedIn. Okay, maybe I'm starting to realise why Scott Morrison claimed that the evil one was using social media. It's not just as Transport Minister that he's pensioned for, let's be honest, not doing his job got the better of Elliott. He did the thing that politicians have to do to make it into the Friendly Geordies Hall of Fame. He took an overseas holiday during the Black Summer bushfires. Oh, and he was the New South Wales Emergency Services Minister at the time. Scott Morrison, John Barilaro, David Elliott. Great company. Sorry, not particularly shocking at this point, but you can't have a greatest hits compilation without the number one, can ya? To be honest, that's his Roxanne. I'm guessing him not checking his messages about the trade strike was his message in a bottle, and his Every Breath You Take was him stalking the teenager, of course. And this, every little thing he does is magic. Yeah, he was caught firing illegal guns. Police cleared him again. Even Boris Johnson gets worse treatment from the police. Then again, Boris did break the same lockdown rules that he imposed on everyone else, and there's no way David Elliott did that. He's a law and order type of guy. So much so that a veteran just tried to talk to him during lockdown, and David almost immediately called up Commissioner Fuller to get the guy charged with intimidation. Ladies and gentlemen, your Veterans Affairs Minister. Let's just read some of Elliott's testimony in court that got the guy sentenced to a community release order.
Quite frankly, I've had a gutful and I don't cop it anymore. I felt his physical presence was too close to me. It's very unusual for someone to speak to me with that sort of tone.
And now let's just play a bit of the video of David Elliott yelling at the teenager that police seem to think is completely fine.
Can I have your licence? Because I'm formally asking you for your licence. You weren't!
I was in the middle of the lane.
You weren't! Get out of the car!
Oh, I guess that kid didn't have a direct line to the police commissioner. Which, speaking of, David, I remember on Marcus Paul's show you said that both you and Mick Fuller would apologise if the police made a mistake in the process of arresting Christo.
If there's suggestions, and obviously a parliamentary hearing is hearing that, Christo was not assessed by a panel to determine if he was fixated or not. I mean, if he wasn't assessed by a panel, then why, the question does need to be asked with respect, David, why on earth then was the fixated persons unit involved in his arrest?
That is a fair question, and it's exactly the question I'll be asking if what you're saying is correct. And I'll be the first one to issue an apology or certainly I know the Commissioner will as well, if proper standard operating procedures haven't been pursued.
Well, The police have admitted to making mistakes. Charges have been dropped. Costs have been awarded. We have our apology now. And can you get Mick to apologise like you said you would? It's important for politicians to stick to their word. Come on. I hear you're a fan of the channel. Let's make a deal. You say sorry and we'll give you a softball interview that will put 2GB to shame.
David, it's outrageous. I saw on LinkedIn that the hippies are trying to blockade trucks carrying ham to Western Sydney.
Make sure you join our Patreon. You're doing a real democratic service as well as getting exclusive content sometimes. And also, make sure that you get a Fixated Persons Unit shirt at friendlyjordies.com. See you next time.
Please share and comment below. Comment.